Welcome back, my friends. It is venison canning time. Deer season is over. It's winter is almost gone. It's getting close to springtime here in Michigan. I procrastinated a little bit, but it's time to can up some venison. So I'm going to show you this really easy step-by-step process to can your own venison. Simple, and it's some of the best food and the best way you can preserve venison, I think. Stick around. Let's check it out. As you can see, we got water heating up here. We got our pressure canner here. This is a Presto. You do need a pressure canner for, I was just doing some cleaning. Cleanliness is definitely key when you're dealing with any kind of meat. Pressure canner, this is a Presto. I think I got it from Target. I had some Target cash or a card or something. This is a 23 quart. Holds about 16 pint jars, which I have in the sink. You want to wash all your jars thoroughly with good hot soapy water. That's the reason for the tea kettle I got going here. Because my water gets, water gets hot, but we want to actually, I want this to be real. And if your jars are cold, like I had these in my canning tote out in the garage, you want to kind of warm them up slowly. And you want to use a good room temperature jar when you're going to put them into the canner, so you don't end up cracking them. But pressure canner is a necessity, and we'll go over what you actually need to have for settings on that and how long you need to process when you're canning meat. Here we go. Let's check out the meat. We got 6 deer this year, so there was no shortage of venison for us. I got a bunch of it in the fridge. What I do is I chop it up and vacuum seal it. You'll see outside here. I got the rest of it in totes. 2 totes full of meat there. You see, it's still snowy. It's cold out here in Michigan. We got a beautiful March snowstorm. You gotta love Michigan. Anyways, let's get back inside and I'll begin the process of canning and show you guys how easy it is to can your own venison. As I mentioned here, you want to get we got our pint jars. Buy a good quality of jar if you can. And you get yourself a little bottle brush. Get them good and clean. I keep mine in like I said, a canning tote, so it keeps all the dust and so it's not airtight, but it's a good quality plastic tote. And I keep all my canning supplies right in there. So go ahead and clean all your jars. That's the most critical. Make sure they're good and clean. I use nice hot water. You saw I added the boiling water to this already hot water because I want it to be good and hot to get these clean. All right, I'll go ahead and finish up on this. All right, we got 16 jars, and with the pint jars, you get about a pound of meat per pint. So just kind of calculate that. 1 pound of meat per pint of jar. So we have our, like I said, our jars are clean, ready to go. I bought new rings. If you have, these are, rings and lids. Rings you can reuse, lids you cannot. Maybe some people do, but I wouldn't advise it. You're more likely to get a faulty seal if you're trying to reuse a ring, or a lid, I should say. So they're not that expensive. You can save your rings. Just keep them clean. After a while, they get kind of rusty and you want to discard them. They're not expensive. So I think there's 12 in here. I got 16 pint jars, so we're going to do about 16 pounds of meat in this canning process. I think my pressure canner will hold that. I bought a double stack for it, and I'll go over that here in a minute once we go ahead and let's get the meat cut up and seasoned, and I'll show you how to do that. You'll want to weigh up all your meat. Like I said, each pint jar holds about a pound of meat. I would recommend when you're weighing the meat to go slightly over, because you're probably going to have to trim a little bit. We're going to cut it up into pieces. I like about an inch to an inch and a half. That's personal preference. If you like bigger chunks, you can put in bigger chunks. In my personal opinion, the best cuts of meat to use are ones that have a lot of connective tissue on them. It adds collagen, which is actually very good for you. You'll see, I try to pick the shank meat, the neck meat, anything you're not going to use for steaks, really. You don't want to use the lean cuts of meat, but you do want to trim the fat. But the more connective tissue that you have on there, I think personally the better the canned product in the end. It's moist. It's not dry. If you've ever had canned venison, sometimes it's like you need to drink a beer with every bite, which maybe is not a bad thing, right? So the more connective tissue, in my opinion, the better. The shank meat works awesome. Shoulder meat, trim off your hindquarters can tend to be a little too lean, unless it's the shank portion. So you can use that, grind it for sure. Grind that into your burger because that makes an awesome burger. So we'll go ahead and start cutting up the meat and getting it ready to prep the stuff into the jars. As I mentioned here, see all that connective tissue on that piece of meat? That is a beautiful piece of meat for canning. So we go ahead and gotta have a really good sharp knife when you're dealing with meat like this. But like I said, pieces, that's perfect stuff for canning. I like them, I like that. You can cut that in half again probably. But with all that connective tissue on there, like I said, it's gonna not only be an extremely good tasting and healthy for you. That's where all the gelatin, that's where all the collagen is. All these people out there that spend all this money on collagen supplements and things like that, you don't need to. If you eat wholesome foods and you ground burger, they say, is one of the healthiest meats you can consume because you have a lot of that connective tissue in there that gives you the collagen and stuff that your body needs to be healthy. But we'll go ahead and cut this all up and get it ready. Alexa, pause the music. Of course, you gotta have some good tunes while you're doing this. All right, meat's cut up. I had about 17 to 18 pounds because there was a little bit of trim. I try to cut all the fat off. Like I said, the connective tissue is something you want. But here, get some gloves on here. Just makes life a little easier. It's good for sanitation purposes too. I wash my hands regularly, so it's not like I don't wash my hands. But like I said, when you're handling meat, I like to wear gloves. All right, so we got our jars. They're nice and clean. A few things you'll need to pick up is a funnel, a canning funnel, some tongs, and you'll see when we use these later for that, and then a pair of smaller tongs. Or if you really are going to get into canning, they make a little magnet deal, and that's primarily, and you'll see here, for pulling the lids out of the hot water when we get ready for that process. So we're going to go ahead and start filling jars. This is what the jars should look like when they're all sealed up. See, the meat's packed nice and tight all the way down. Got the head space up top. Like I said, 1 inch head space is what you're looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and fill the rest of these jars. Get them ready, then I'll show you how we season them, seal them, put them in the canner, and process them. Hang in there. All right, we got the meat is completely filling the jars now, as you see. We got our 1 inch head space. Now let's talk seasoning. I like adobo. It's a combination of salt, pepper, garlic, oregano, and some turmeric in it as well. I think it's a really good multi-purpose seasoning. You know, there's several different brands out there. You can just use salt. You can use just salt, pepper, and garlic. When I started, I just would use like kosher salt, pinch of garlic, and a pinch of pepper, white pepper, black pepper, whatever you like. I've transitioned to the adobo. So you want to use 1/2 teaspoon of this seasoning. I've found tastes the best. So I like to use 1/2 teaspoon of seasoning per jar. All right, we got our seasoning in there, and now, whoops, I missed one. You get that one, okay. Got the seasoning in there now. I like to add a little bit of beef broth. You don't have to do that step, but I do. So go ahead and add that now. All right, so just you get some beef broth, and that's why you want to keep the 1 inch plus headspace. You don't want to go over that because when they cook in the pressure cooker, they could bubble over and the lids won't seal. So just go ahead and put a little bit of beef broth in each one. It'll kind of settle down. You'll see you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to. It helps the spices disperse a little bit, I think. And you don't need to use a lot. It'll work its way down through the crevices of the meat. All right, next step before we seal the jars up is we want to get some just regular white distilled vinegar. Don't matter what brand you use. Let's saturate this little cloth with it, and then we're gonna, you want to take and wipe all the jar lids down. We got our lids and rings right now boiling on the stove. That's another reason to use the funnels. It just helps keep things cleaner. This gets the lid of the jar real nice and clean, so you get a good seal when you can it. Now we got our nice hot rims. This is one of the reasons I was saving these little tongs here. They make, like I said, they make like a magnetic deal. I just want to go ahead and put one on. This is very hot, so keep them clean. The reason you heat them up is it softens this rubber O-ring. It sterilizes them as well, but also helps because it softens this rubber seal on there. Probably have a few more lids and rings than I need, but the rubber gloves help a little bit too because this is really hot. Ouch. Helps a little bit with the heat. So grab the rings. The rings you just want to put on finger tight. You definitely don't want to over tighten them like that. That's it. Finger tight. Make sure that little lid is on there well. And I'm not tightening them down hard at all. We're just going finger tight. You actually want the pressure to release out of these jars a little bit as we go. So I'll go ahead and finish them up. All right, we're getting our canner set up. Like I mentioned, I have the Presto canner. It's a 23 quart. We'll open it up. If you've never pressure canned, it's a good idea to buy like a canning book or something. I have a few of them. My grandma actually used to can meat in the oven, and now that's not a approved method. The thing with canning is if you don't do it right, botulism bacteria will grow in there, because botulism actually, that bacteria is on every food we eat. It thrives in a low oxygen environment, and when you can foods, it pulls all the oxygen out of the can, which means the botulism thrives in that environment. In order to kill the botulism bacteria, you have to get it above the 212 degree mark. I think it's like 220 degrees, and you have to hold it at that temperature for a period of time. So that's where the pressure canner comes. The pressure helps increase the temperature inside that and penetrate the jars all the way through. So we're going to be processing these jars. These are pint jars. I think it's, and like I said, look it up, but for my area, it's 11 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes is what we're going to do. And I believe that's for about 1,000 feet of elevation above sea level. Like I said, look up a book. You can look online. But 11 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes. If you fall below 11 pounds of pressure, you need to start the process over. Actually, reprocess it for 90 minutes. It's very important. So we're going to go ahead and get the jars loaded up into the pressure canner and get things rolling. I'll show you that process here as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and fill this canner up. There's marks inside. It's a 3-quart line, and I'm using distilled water. You read the instructions with your canner. Everyone is a little bit different, but this one says fill it to the 3-quart water line, which is the lowest one here. Boom, right there. We're going to go ahead and add our jars in there. It's okay if the jars are close, but it's best not to have them touching anything, the sides of the canner or other jars. Maybe I can get 8 in here. We'll see. We'll see if I stack them close enough. Take our stacking ring, lay that on top of the other, and now repeat the process again here. Oh man, hey, I did get 16 in there. I guess I did get 8 down in there. 16 jars. Yay. Make sure none of them are touching. We look good. All right, jars are in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on. You'll see those arrows are lined up, and you're going to, boom. All right. Now, that's situated on the old burner here. Make sure everything's snug and tight. It's sealed good. We're going to turn this on the big burner on high. So we don't, at this point, we're just going to let it come up to pressure. We're going to leave the regulator off the top until we get a steady flow of steam coming through the pressure cooker. Once we have that, then we can drop the regulator on. Then we need to wait for it to come up to pressure before we actually start timing it. So a little bit of a process. We got it on, so we'll come back and check it once it's rolling. All right, we got the pressure cooker is now hot. You can see you got a steady flow of steam coming out of there. You want to wait until that happens. Once we have that, I got the pressure regulator with the 10-pound weight on there. We're going to put that on here. Okay? Once this comes to pressure, this little valve will pop up, that steam valve, and it'll start collecting pressure. And then we want to let it get to 11 pounds. See our valve popped. Now we're going to wait for that to come to, see where it says 10 there, 10, 11 pounds of pressure, between 10 and 11 pounds of pressure. And when that happens, that weighted valve should start rocking. While we're waiting for the pressure canner to do its thing, we thought we'd come out. I thought I'd come out and throw some venison on the grill here. Check this out. I cut up some nice venison strips here. So, oh, look at that. Oh man. I just use, on this, when I do steaks on the grill and stuff, I just use the old Montreal steak seasoning. There's no need to try reinventing the wheel. Good little olive oil on there. It's Montreal steak. It's good stuff. Ooh my, look at that. Those look mighty good. Ready for a little lunch snack. Oh boy, there it is. Ooh yeah. Oh, those are nice, perfect looking medium to medium rare. Ooh yeah, look at that. Yum. Alright, here it is. Look at that. Mm. 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 Man, look at that. That's why I hunt right there. Mm. That is why I hunt. It's so good. All right, let's let the gander do its thing. We'll come back and check on it. There she goes. You hear it? She's starting to jiggle. You'll see if you look at the temperature gauge, she's right there, just around 11 pounds. And that old 10-pound weight starting to jiggle, and that's going to control the pressure, so we stay right there. A minimum of 11 pounds. And it don't matter if it's a little over, but you don't want to fall under 11 pounds. You can hear the pressure regulator really starting to sizzle now. And it's keeping it right at just over 11 pounds, which is perfect. So once we hit that temperature, now we can start the timer. You cannot start the timer until you hit 11 pounds of pressure. And you must maintain a minimum of 11 pounds of pressure, or you have to start over. You have to start your timer over. You got to get back up to 11 pounds of pressure and start your timer over. So, yep. And that old pressure regulator is rocking nice, doing the job it's intended to do. So I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 1 hour and 30 minutes. There we go. Perfect. And it should maintain that temperature. It shouldn't fall below. We'll keep an eye on it, but the regulator is doing the job as it should. All right, the timer is off. So now it's been pressure cooking. So what we're gonna do is turn the heat off. And you want to let it do a natural release. So when this little tab drops back down and there's no more pressure and that reads 0, then we can open it. It'll take a little time, but we'll get to it after that, so stick around. Pressure cooker is depressurized. The valve check is dropped down and we're on 0, so it's safe to open, but still be careful. Just when you open it, you want to, it is still a little hot. You want to twist and open away from yourself so you don't get blasted in the face with hot steam. Now, this is what these bad babies are for. You'll see here I put paper towel down, so grab the jars with the tongs carefully. Get up under the ring there of the lid. We're going to take them. I put a couple rows of paper towel down. We're going to lift them up carefully. We're going to set them over here. One at a time. Keep them spacing. You can see they're still bubbling inside, which is good. Like I said, you want to. And because I used purified water or distilled water, the jars have very little residue. If you use tap water or well water, they're going to come out just coated with like lime residue. And they're kind of a pain to clean. But they're not hard. I mean, you wipe them down with some vinegar water. These might have a little bit of it, but I do like to use, like I said, some sort of filtered or distilled water. And one thing, don't touch the lids. Do not artificially press those lids down. Let them cool completely. Sometimes that might take overnight or a few hours, but let the lids pop naturally. Let them suction naturally. Don't touch the lid, because sometimes that can make it pop down, but it doesn't have a proper seal on it, which could cause problem with spoilage or make you sick down the road. So don't touch them. Let them cool. And you'll have some great product that you can enjoy for years ahead. It's a great way to store venison. So anyways, there you have it. There is the venison canning video. If you want to look up some more detailed information, hear that pop. Just look online. There's tons of stuff. I have a ball canning book. It lists, there goes another one. It lists all the pressures you need for different altitudes, and you can there goes another one. They're really popping. So thanks again for watching. I hope you like this video. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps out our channel. Throw some likes on this. Helps other people see this video potentially, and look forward to the next video I got coming out. I'm going to do prepping a deer heart. And cleaning, cutting, cooking, and enjoying that. I'll show you. That's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite parts of the deer. So have a great day. Enjoy, and we'll see you the next time.